I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis back in 2014. A basic rundown of what that looks like in a person: low energy, low metabolism, bad skin, bad hair, amplified anxiety. The thyroid handles so much in our body that it's a complete detriment to not have a working one. Back in February, I went for a normal checkup at my doctor's office. She ran a full panel of blood tests and came back into the room, concerned. She said that my thyroid disease is at its all-time worst. The levels of hormone it should be making are excruciatingly low, and it looks like it's going to get worse in the near future, within a month even. I remember how my body felt at the time. I was constantly exhausted, tired, and felt like I was in constant brain fog. My skin and hair didn't look very healthy, and I knew they were a byproduct of all that as well. For a second, I was afraid. I was afraid of this disease getting even worse. It was already very prominent in my daily life. I stopped and remembered that this disease is something that I manifested too. And if it can be manifested, it can be unmanifested. I recall the story of Neville teaching a 26-year-old man about living in the end. The man was highly diseased and ill and had very little time to live. Neville told the man to imagine the doctor's reaction in shock as they claimed, "It's a miracle." I took the time to clean up my mental diet and get to the roots of why this manifested in my body. I realized two things. I'm constantly saying in my mind and out loud, "I'm so exhausted. I don't have the energy to deal with any of this." And the biggest root of all being my general hatred for my body and self. I immediately began reversing the way I spoke about myself, mentally and out loud. I knew what my scene was, and I went straight into the end without looking back. My doctor had already set up a follow-up appointment. I say to myself mentally, I'm going to absolutely destroy this next appointment. In this scene, I enter her office and take a seat. I do the usual blood-taking process and come back and wait for her to return with the results. She walks back in, and the look she gives me is one of disbelief. She says, "I don't understand this. Your levels look excellent. In fact, they are fully functioning." I imagine her telling me to come back for testing again soon, to make sure the tests are accurate. And I end the scene with me walking out into the parking lot telling my sister the great news. I imagine this scene all day, every day, for a week. And when small snippets of doubt creep up on me, I just mentally say everything works out in my favor. I go to sleep and fall asleep in the feeling of gratitude, knowing how lucky I am to be free of this disease. In the day, I talk about how much energy I have and how I feel like I probably won't sleep for a while. I just have so much of it. I live in the end, knowing that as God, I have a body as I choose, and that illness does not apply to me. I watch very carefully how I speak about myself and immediately reverse any negative statements or idea pertaining to my body, even if it's a part of my body that wasn't related to my thyroid. A week passes. I have full and unwavering faith in myself. I already know this appointment is a waste of time because my body has already healed. I get seated in the office, I get my blood taken, and like a glitch in the Matrix, every single thing happened as I had imagined, down to her exact facial expression. She looks at me in disbelief because nothing has ever happened like that before, and she schedules me for a follow-up in a few months just to be sure that this isn't just some strange fluke. Your levels are fully functioning. They look normal, but I'm not surprised or moved in the slightest. I was so saturated in the end, I already experienced this state before. I also noticed that my skin cleared up and my hair had seen improvement. I'm not a tired person anymore. The levels at the 2-month mark were excellent, and not a fluke. The body is reversible, and I feel great. These were the techniques: making a specific scene, SATs, lullaby method, mental diet, revision on my own feelings of my body, and living in the end. I use the law of assumption to heal myself of a chronic illness, and I want to share my story with you to help you bolster your faith in this magical process, whether you are dealing with health issues or otherwise. I developed chronic fatigue syndrome in 2020, and it was confirmed in a telehealth appointment that my illness was likely triggered from chronic stress brought on by my teenage and young adult environments. I had to completely give up on my dream of going to school while my body recuperated. Work, even virtual employment was out of the question. I lost the ability to take care of myself properly, much less participate in the hobbies and causes that used to be important to me. I became, for all intents and purposes, a ghost of a functional human being. When I heard about Neville Goddard and the law of assumption through learning about the law of attraction, I decided I had nothing to lose by assuming myself healthy. My symptoms were as follows: a constant burning pain in my upper arms and thighs. This made self-care and exercise difficult, as simple tasks set tension radiating across my muscles. It literally felt like my body was screaming at me when I took a few steps away from my bed. Back aches, neck aches. Need I say anything about how much these suck? I forgot my own name. Basic English grammar rules, how to open doors, how to wash dishes, how to put on clothes, how to balance a budget, how to use forks and spoons. All of this happened to a woman that had previously been accepted to numerous prestigious universities around the world before these circumstances made her give higher education up. I could no longer read books or write on a level appropriate for my age, education level, and for the amount of time I spent on these hobbies. I went from being furious at my lot in life to wanting to end it all, to being emotionally numb towards everything in a matter of 15 minutes. As you can imagine, all these symptoms turned me into a jackass and a pain to be around. I also had complexion issues. I had such amazing skin as a teen, and I'm talking Aphrodite coming out of the sea, pale and clear skin. People were jealous that my parents didn't have to pay for touch-ups on my school portraits. That all changed when I got sick. Now, after a couple of weeks working with the law, I'm the complete opposite. I clean and exercise every single day. I'm sociable. I can read difficult scientific papers and understand what they're talking about. I can function normally, and no one watching me walk or work through problems in public or in private uses me as an excuse for what's wrong with this current generation. Furthermore, if I do happen to make a mistake, I can easily correct it or readjust it myself. My skin is almost completely clear. I no longer relate to Rockwell and Michael Jackson's famous single. Let me be clear about this. I did nothing but assume that everything was fine with my brain and my body. I could barely visualize or do sats, so I decided to shift my focus. I would briefly journal about how spectacular my days were, how productive I was during the day, and how cognitively capable I was turning out to be. I chose to expand upon everything that was going right with my health, and lo and behold, my assumptions about my health changed. Revision happened naturally. I began to distance myself emotionally from the trauma that triggered my chronic fatigue syndrome, and I no longer felt mentally tied to the emotions my environment created within me. I now have happier memories of the times in my life that made me ill. Here's the backstory. I was hesitant to share this because I didn't know if anybody could relate, but I figured I should in case anybody out there is experiencing the same thing. Basically, I had a brachial plexus injury at birth, which damaged many of the nerves in my arm. A consequence of this is that every single year, ever since I was 6 years old, I would experience excruciating pain that left me bedridden for about 10 days before the pain randomly disappeared and came back the next year. I went to many doctors for this, and they could never do anything to soothe the pain or get rid of it altogether. The pain came from my damaged nerves, and the only way to fix the issue would have been an intensive surgery or amputating my arm, both of which I heavily considered. This year, I felt the dreaded tingles in my arms that symbolized that I was going to be incapacitated for the next 10 days due to the nerve pain. At this point, I had been reading about manifestation for a while, so I decided that I just wasn't going to accept it anymore. Anytime I felt the tingles of pain, I repeated to myself, no, my arm is fine and the pain will never come back again. The tingling intensified slightly and persisted for a few days, but I kept repeating that my arm was fine until it finally disappeared completely. The pain has not come back since, and I am free from this burden without doing any surgery or amputating my arm. This success has improved my life drastically because I no longer wait in fear each year for that pain to start again. About 8 months back, I started having trouble reading for very long without my vision going blurry, usually 5 to 10 minutes. I went to see an eye doctor to see what was happening and got prescribed reading glasses. I didn't think too much of it until I started reading Neville Goddard's work and wondered if it could help my eyes. Every day, I thought and said, my eyes are getting better. I told my wife this multiple times a day, even though my vision was still blurry when reading. She definitely thought I was crazy. It took about 2 weeks, but it actually worked. I haven't worn my glasses in over a week, and it's the best feeling. I feel free not having to worry about taking my glasses with me and not having to clean them, etc. A month back, I had gone to the doctor to get my eyes checked since there was pain and it was very red. He told me I had some kind of virus and it was really bad and it would take at least 6 months to completely heal. Now, if I hadn't already been studying Neville, I would have freaked out. Instead, I heard whatever he was saying but didn't listen. I went home. Throughout the day, I kept repeating to myself, my eyes are completely healed now. He told me to come back in a week to check whether or not I needed to change any medications, since again, it would take me at least 6 months of alternating medicine to cure this virus. That whole week, whenever I felt any pain, I just closed my eyes and said, my eyes are completely healed now. On the day I was going to see him, in the car, I just visualized a scene with him telling me, wow, it's completely gone. I did this 3 times before I reached there, and then when I got checked, of course, he said the exact same words. He said in his career of 25 years, only 1 in 10 get cured of this so fast without leaving any trace whatsoever. You really can do anything you wish, and you're always in control even when you think you're not. I'll forever think back to this story whenever I'm doubting myself for bigger things in my life. I went to the dentist 4 months ago and they diagnosed me with 5 cavities and wanted to charge me $1,400 to fill them. I went home and told myself they diagnosed me wrong. I have perfectly healthy teeth. To be honest, I didn't really believe in my visualization very much. I had doubts I could actually heal my cavities with my mind. So I went to a new dentist today to get my teeth filled. I still felt some tooth pain and was convinced I still had the cavities. The dentist took a look at my teeth and told me, you have no decay. You don't have any cavities. They also told me that my teeth hurt from sensitivity. I was given some special toothpaste and they sent me home free of charge. I was so excited, not only because I healed my cavities and saved money, but also because I realized you don't even need 100% faith for it to work. I didn't have 100% faith in my visualization. I was convinced I still had cavities and even felt the tooth pain, yet it still worked.